introduce Professor Mukhopadhyay to this August House? It's a challenge to me. Because he has been a towering figure all the way from Banaras Hindu University as a student. Incidentally, he has also been my teacher when he completed his PhD, and I was a young little kid of those years. I was probably first year of MSc, and he used to take our classes then. So since then, he has been my teacher as well. And therefore, there are lot of feathers in his cap. But then, I wish to only highlight a couple of them, which probably many of us have not been able to attain it. First thing is that he has been Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture at G.B. Pant Agriculture University, Pantnagar, the first agriculture university in the country. And it was a privilege to get employed those years in such universities of eminence in the domain of agriculture. Then he went as Vice Chancellor to Assam Agricultural University, Jorhat. And if I recall correctly, one of the annual meetings of one of the societies, he was the pivot in organizing in a very amicable manner. Incidentally, I happened to be then the president of the society, and he really agreed to host the national convention at Jorhat in that year. He has been the fellow. Now this is the feather. He is the fellow of the National Academy of Agricultural Research, NAS, which again is a very prestigious position. Fortunately, I see many of the NAS fellows here, and this again is a privilege. And he has been a student, not only a student, also the visiting professor in various universities in various countries, and also worked primarily, his passion all his life has been in the domain of trichoderma. और कई बार कहा जाता है कि if at all there is going to be the father of trichoderma in India, it is Professor Amarnath Mukhopadhyay. What else can I tell you about this great man? And then I also happen to be his student. With this brief, I have a long biodata in my hand, but I thought it would be diluting the sanctity of this eminent professor to recite all that, because the only thing I wanted to highlight was his expertise in the area of trichoderma in particular, and management and administration of agricultural education and research at the national level. That's very important. So with this, Professor, it's my pleasure to invite you to deliver the first. Incidentally, is this continuous going to be yearly affair? It only stops here. Professor Harwar is not here. Anyway, only for this year. Okay. So it's a privilege to invite you to deliver this Professor M.S. Paugi Memorial Lecture. Professor Mukhopadhyay.
Thank you, Professor Jalali, for great introduction about me, because we have known each other for more than 5 decades. So he knows my Janam Kundali, जो astrology में बोलते हैं. But nevertheless, I consider it as a great privilege and honor to be called upon to deliver the M.S. Paugi Lecture Award. And Dr. Paugi was my guide. I happened to be the first student of Dr. Professor Paugi. That's one privilege. And the co-chairman, Dr. B.N. Chakravarti, is also very well known to me. I can see many of my friends sitting in these things. And I am grateful to Dr. Karwar, the convener of this organizing committee, for inviting me to deliver a lecture in the name of a great person like Professor M.S. Paugi. In fact, Professor M.S. Paugi is known as Dr. Madhav Shankar Paugi. He came back from USA after obtaining his PhD from the University of Wisconsin under J.J. Dixon. When I completed my MSc BSc in 1960, I met him, and he somehow said that you join MSc program with me, you know. There was a fresh PhD from Wisconsin. And then I continued my MSc, my PhD all with him. He was a great, very hard taskmaster. I got my PhD after 4 years. Many of you may be getting your PhD within 3 years' time. But it took 4 years, and he would not let me publish my paper until unless it is of international standard. I had 7 international standard publications in all the high-impact journal before I submitted my PhD thesis. And I got a job before I obtained my PhD based on my publication. And he said, no, please wait for 6 more months. We'll finish your PhD. I said, sir, namaskar. I am now living for Pantnagar. I am appointed as assistant professor. I have my family. So I left without submitting my thesis. But after all, later on, within a few months' time, I came over here, submitted my thesis, and I considered that such hard taskmaster, such teacher are necessary for all of you. Don't take things in a very easy manner that you'll join PhD, finish some coursework, and get your PhD at that time. I'm grateful to the great institution, Banaras University, for making me what I am today. I landed in this university way back in July 1957, 1957, as an undergraduate student. My uncle put me in Banaras Express from Calcutta with a tin box. That time there was no luggage trolley. And I landed here and satisfied myself and went around and working over here all the time. And I was telling your Vice Chancellor this morning, this is the university which should be symbol or which should be replicated in all the universities in our country. Such a ambience, such a great faculty, such massive building, and ever since whatever has been said about Banaras University, but still among the first few universities in the country, it is still at the top. During our regime, we have had the opportunity to interact with many, many intellectual people, politicians, and I am tempted to show one photograph to you. This is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. I don't know whether you'll be able to identify me from this photograph or not. This is 1962. When I finished my PhD that time, when I finished my MSc, topping the list of the candidates, at that time in BHU, the student union was dissolved. And the Vice Chancellor N.H. Bhagavati said that from each college, one representative would be nominated by the dean, who is an all-rounder, best student, best dramatist, best sportsman, but fortunately I was nominated. And this is the meeting of Pandit Nehru during the 1962 convocation as a member of the student union. And such exposure is a lifetime exposure for all of us, you know. Such a magnanimous personality. We had the opportunity to see many people like that. This is another photograph, but you see how devoted we are for the country. When Pandit Nehru was sitting in the car, I am raising my hand to tell Pandit Nehru Jai. You know, this type of student life we had at that time. You know. So I am very tempted to show this photograph to you so that you know how we spend our time there. Now, about my lecture, I have talked about Trichodharma, and Professor Jalali has said that Trichodharma is passion to me, and I've been working in this area for more than 5 decades now. Now, you know, despite the success of Green Revolution, the battle to ensure food and nutrition security for hundreds of millions of miserably poor people is far from over. Mustering population, changing demographics, and inadequate poverty intervention program has yielded many of the gains of the revolution. We have achieved the revolution, but still we are facing a great problem. We are now losing about 2,25,000 crores what agriculture produce due to pests and diseases. And with the present rate of growth of population, we have to double our food production by 2030. This is WHO estimate, World Health Organization. A report by World Bank has ranked agriculture as one of the most hazardous occupations in the developing countries with unsafe use of pesticides as the major cause. Not overuse of pesticide, but unsafe use of pesticide. 2 lakh die each year from pesticide poisoning. That is 2017 data. And report says pesticides are having catastrophic impact on human health, environment, while failing to end hunger. But still multinationals, they're dumping of the chemicals in the third world countries or the developing countries to increase production. 21st century and environment, it is clear that 21st century is going to be a century of environment in which literally every new technology will have to meet environmental concern. Investment in science for ecological security will have to become a science for food security, our health security, our industrial security, our livelihood security, and indeed even national security. Why I am telling national security? If as a country India is not able to produce enough for the growing population, we are faced with the national security because we have to import food grains from other countries. I still remember my school days way back in 1950s when we used to import wheat grain from USA under PL 480 project. That time India was not producing a lot of wheat to feed the millions of population. So we are importing wheat from USA. And those PL 480 wheat was unfit for even consumption to pigs and cattle in USA. That is to be sent to our country in shiploads, mixing with the DDT. And when you are using chapati from those wheat, you used to smell the DDT smell is still there because they are mixing up with DDT while sending through the ships. So therefore, if we don't produce enough, our national security is at stake. Trichoderma, it's a unique biopesticides of its kind for plant disease management in the 21st century. Trichoderma is very close to my heart, and I consider it as a gift of God to humankind for plant disease management. It's a gift of God to humankind. Why gift? Because we have discovered Trichoderma from soil. It was not created by us, but we have discovered it. And way back in 1986 and 1996, my presidential addresses at the Indian Society of Mycology and Plant Pathology, I was president way back in 1986, and in 1996 I was president of the Agriculture section of the Indian Science Congress. My talk was focused on Trichoderma for plant disease management. There was a lot of skepticism from majority of plant pathologists on this particular views. Fortunately, the science scenario has changed drastically over the years, and the last few decades, the critics of Trichoderma have become strong advocates of plant disease management by Trichoderma. So there are a lot of criticism. Why I am telling this to you, especially to the youngsters, whenever you bring something new, whenever you want to create something new, there will be criticism, there will be a lot of backbiting, and you should not be discouraged. If you are focused, if you can do the thing with the period of time, you will know that the people will support you. Path-breaking facts about Trichoderma. There's a volume of literature, Google Scholar database is 4,50,000 hits. Number of patents, Google patentable database about 55,000 hits. About 60% of all the registered biopesticides worldwide are Trichoderma based. So Dr. Ralph said in the morning that Trichoderma is used for plant disease management. I would want to bring to your notice that 60% of the biopesticides are based on Trichoderma. In India alone, more than 250 Trichoderma-based formulations are sold commercially, which is the highest in the world. There are a number of publications on biological control, specifically on Trichoderma, specifically by many things. But the first book on Trichoderma was published by Baker and Cook way back in 1972. That was the Bible for me when I started my work there. Then there are many books came up, and recently the last one on the right hand side, the Trichoderma, is an exclusive book published, and there is Dr. P.K. Mukherjee and the colleagues. They have edited this book. This is a wonderful book, and Dr. Mukherjee completed his PhD with me in 1992. This is how Trichoderma virens, because Trichoderma has a numerous number of species. Trichoderma hatchianum, Trichoderma viridi, Trichoderma corningi, Trichoderma virens. Now this is how trichoderma virals look like when you go for scanning electron microscopy. They form numerous spores which are held in a muciginous mass at the bottom. This is how trichoderma viridly looks like when you go for scanning electron microscopy, and they have the unique property of causing antagonism or pasteurizing the fungal pathogen. This is a photograph which shows trichoderma invading Rhizotonia solani hyphae. Rhizotonia solani hyphae is very thick, you can see here, but trichoderma, when it comes in contact, it penetrates and then kills the pathogen which is in contact. This is an interaction between trichoderma hygienum and also by Rhizotonia solani. Here the calling takes place, they kill the pathogen, they produce extracellular enzymes, and that is the reason how it works. Not only that, they also compete with other microbes in the soil because they are very fast growing and don't allow them to come up in a big way. So this is the quality of trichoderma which we are talking about. This is how microorganism takes place. They can coil around when they come in contact with the pathogen with no time and then kill the pathogen. Now the question comes up, you can go, you can make trichoderma, do the things in the laboratory and the glass house, but how to mass multiply? So there is a big problem that we cannot go trichoderma in the flask or petri dishes and apply in the field. So this technique we developed back in 1984. This is the polybag technology where organic waste material like any grains which are not used or cut side or underside that can be used, sterilized, you inoculate with trichoderma spores, and then in this bag where it is not inoculated, you can see within about 10 days time with solid fermentation technology you can get peculiar and good growth of trichoderma. So in this way, this publication was also further confirmed for a group from Israel in the same year 1984. Yigal Elad and his group, they say yes, it is possible. Now in many companies in USA and also in Europe, they have accepted this technology and they are not only going in small bag, but they are going in bigger bag, about 5 kilo bag, where solid state fermentation technology is helping to grow trichoderma in a larger scale. This is how the mass production can be done. I've been associated with a company in Calcutta since 2006, Super Agro India Limited. Now the question came up, we can't grow trichoderma in BHU incubators. So we converted big halls, maybe halls, half the size of this hall into a BHU incubator by giving split AC, then the lighting and the proper wood iron angle rack, inoculate the bag, put the bag in that, and within about 10 to 15 days time, the bags are ready to up. We can produce tons of trichoderma from that particular technique. Now, question came up, when you are talking about trichoderma, we are using in the early stage, and now still some people say you can go for soil application. Yes, soil application is good for perennial plants, soil application is good for the small scale application, but in large scale application you may be needing 100 kilograms of seed. I still remember way back in 1988 when I was delivering my lecture in FAO, one of the scientists from Cornell University, Dr. Gary Herman, he asked me, you are advocating trichoderma application which will be about 100 kilograms per hectare. It's too large a quantity. Can you think about something else? So in 1990, when he came back, then I told my student, and we formulated a biological seed treatment things in which we treat the seed of different crops with trichoderma and get the result. I'll show the photograph afterwards. Biological seed treatment with trichoderma provides protection of rhizosphere, that is the area surrounding the root portion and having the highest microbial activity and is sufficient to manage disease. And the mechanism involved are, it forms a physical barrier. When you are treating the seed, it is growing on the seed without affecting the germination and is forming a physical barrier around the root zone and the seed, and therefore it doesn't allow the pathogen to penetrate. It directly affects the pathogen and produce antibiotics and high hydrolytic enzymes which are inhibitory to the plant pathogens. It produces or releases a variety of compounds that induce localized and systemic resistance. It is forming a physical barrier, it is releasing certain substance, it is attacking the pathogen which is coming near to the seed, and not only that, there are now number of publications have come up which says they release certain compound which is a sign, and they can be induced for localized or systemic resistance. This is how the seed treatment looks like. When we proposed this theory of seed treatment with trichoderma, there was a lot of skepticism that trichoderma itself is a fungus. If I apply to the seed with the favorable moisture and germination, it will germinate and it will kill the seed and the seedling. But when I say it's a gift of God to humankind, trichoderma does not parasitize the plant. You can see on the right hand side the seeds of chickpea, soybean and lentil, they are all treated. Trichoderma is colonized the seed and is growing. On the left hand side it's untreated seed. There is no adverse effect on the germination. And this paper was immediately accepted by FAO, and they asked us to publish because it is of the very important practical application for the farmers for biological seed treatment with trichoderma for the first time. This is how the seeds are colonized. This is seeds of soybean after germination. You can see it is not only the seed coat is colonized, but the radical and pluvole is also colonized. That means it is growing on the plant surface without affecting the germination. At the same time, they are releasing certain products which are inherited to the pathogen. So this is a great mechanism which is taking place. Now you also wanted to know how far it goes. So this is a technique known as root printing technique, which we followed many times. After seed treatment, we allow the seed to germinate. After germination, we cut the portion of the root portion, which is the treated seed, that is the untreated seed, and when we put it on the plate, which is of selective media for trichoderma, you can see main root, lateral root, trichoderma is growing without affecting the seed, without affecting the roots, without affecting the plant. That means after seed treatment, they are not only protecting the seed and the germinating seed, but also giving protection to the lateral root, main root, other parts of the plant. So this is a system of immunization we can see. This is the non-treated and treated seed. In case of chickpea, you can see in case of chickpea, when it is non-treated, the root mass is so less. Trichoderma is known to enhance the plant growth. It's a growth promoting effect. Whereas the root mass, the treated one is much more, about 30 to 40% more. When the root mass is more, it will be able to uptake more of nutrients and the plant will be robust, which is shown in the next slide. In treated plant, the plant is, the foliage, green foliage is about 30 to 40% more than what it is in the non-treated one. So it is not only protecting the plant, it is also promoting the growth of the plant in a big way. This is in relation to corn. You can see the corn, the upper one, corn where no treatment is done, you can see the growth or root mass, but on the right hand side the root mass is so prolific, so robust. So naturally that will help in better nutrition and better growth of the plant. This in relation to tomato also you can see with the control and the application, impact of trichoderma treatment on tomato growth, the growth is much more as compared to the treated one. Success stories. Now doing something in the field is very important than doing something only in the laboratory. You can do some experiment, you can get some success, but to take in the field is very important. So when we were in Mukhopadhyay University, a number of students who worked with me, there's a project from DBT, and we have taken it to the field level. This is the success stories in chickpea. And this is the photograph of Eagle Elard and his wife. Because myself and Eagle Elard used to meet in many international conferences. When we used to talk about the large-scale field application, he'll always have some doubt. Because in Israel and other places, they are mostly going for plastic houses or the growth in different scale. So you have got to Pantnagar, and this is the chickpea field, which was only given trichoderma seed treatment. So there is no mortality, there is no death in the seedling, and large-scale field application, we can get wonderful success. This is done with the farmer. This farmer Pratap Singh, chickpea or the lentil or the pulses are very expensive these days. One major reason is that the chickpea plants and the lentil plant, they are affected by a number of soil-borne pathogens. There are no varieties available which are resistant. There are no chemicals available which can control. Therefore, the abundant cultivation. This farmer Pratap Singh, abundant cultivation, though he was growing chickpea for so many years, but with our technology of biological seed treatment, he regained back the things, and now he's growing chickpea again. So there is one reason. I was telling the Director General ICR the other day that this small and simple technology can create revolution in the pulse cultivation, and you can get back the chickpea or lentil or other pulses crop in a big way. This is in relation to peas. Again, large scale field trial, more than several hectares where only seed treatment is given, and you get such lush green crop without any root or seedling rot or fusidium rot. This is in relation to groundnut. On the left hand side crop, you can see this is done in a government farm where about 50 to 60% crops is gone because of the root rot and weed diseases, whereas when the cyclorama treatment was given, we have got such a wonderful growth of the plant in the field. This is, now we have a lot of crops in the country, especially tea, which is exported outside. But in tea, the major problem is that many of the European countries, they refuse to buy Indian tea because of the residue level of pesticides here. So now, trichoderma is being applied in a big way. At the time of planting, we apply trichoderma. This is a product known as Trichostar, which is commercialized by me in a Calcutta West farm. This is how we apply trichoderma suspension in the tea planting before the new seedlings are planted. And in tea, there is a procedure which is done, followed every year. That is in the month of December, they'll prune the whole plant. They'll prune the whole plant up to height of 1 or 1.5 feet only. And the main technology or the main procedure or the main application was done this time to spray with copper fungicide so that the cut plant or pruned plants are not affected by pest and diseases. But there are a lot of pest and disease attack. But now European countries, they refuse to accept the tea which is sprayed with copper, because in tea you take the lid, put the decoction in the warm water, and they say we won't accept it. What we do here now, after the pruning of the tree crop, we spray with trichoderma, and then within about 1.5 to 2 months time, you get such green foliage, green. So we are selling tons of trichoderma material in tea plantation in our country, where we need not to use the chemical pesticide. We are using the copper fungicide after the spray, and we can get such lush green crop. This is the, there are now small tea growers are coming up in a big way in our country. This is the place where small tea growers were advised, were trained, were educated for adopting the trichoderma technology, and you can say such a good growth they get in the crop without using any chemical mix. This is done in case of downy mildew, grapes. Grape has a number of diseases, downy mildew, anthracnose, powder mildew, etc. And our former agriculture minister, Mr. Sarad Pawar himself had a number of grape gardens. And about 7-8 years back, we exported some material to USA that was sent back, because what they used to do after harvesting the grape, they used to dip in Bevestin solution. Bevestin is a chemical fungicide, so that there is no wastage or spoilage on the way. So they refused, they didn't accept it. Now in the same institute, this is Dr. Indulika Saman. She finished her PhD with me. She only retired last month as director of that National Research Center in grapes. So they have used trichoderma in a big way. So they gave 2 to 3 sprays of trichoderma at 5 to 7 days interval, and there is 30 to 35% less disease. So in a crop like this, where we have a lot of export potential, we can make use of trichoderma without affecting the quality of the crop and other things. The success stories of farmer, frequent application of trichoderma, and they also have applied bacillus in vineyard for 4 years, and minimum chemical pesticides required now, and no pesticide residue detection, because Worldwide now, people are very conscious about pesticide residue. We will not be able to earn export unless we have proper technology. This is Technoderma for management of potato blight. Some people say potato blight is very difficult to control. This is a photograph in the European country. You can see how Technoderma blight could be controlled